Hey everyone, welcome to C3 Monash online this morning. In case you don't know me, my name's Matt and I'll be sharing a devotion with you this morning. And I guess I'll be looking at the word devoted or devotion. And essentially when I think of those words, I think of the words kind of giving attention to. You know, we can be devoted to so many things in life. We can be devoted to our family, our wives, our phones, our jobs, our health, our wealth, our future, our gifts, our talents. There's so many things that we can give attention to or be devoted to. And it's all great to be, sometimes it can be used for good, our devotion, and sometimes it can be used badly. A few weeks ago, or a week and a bit ago, was our New Year's Eve. And a lot of people over the New Year's period, they have New Year's resolutions, okay? So and they're usually based around health and wealth. I'll stop drinking alcohol this year. I'll stop eating chocolate. I'm going to go to the gym 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. There's all these different kind of things. But, and they're all good things, okay? But we see in 1 Timothy verses 4 to 8, we see that Paul is writing to Timothy, and he's writing to the Greco-Roman world whom they loved health and the naked body and muscles. And if you've ever been to a Greek exhibition, there's heaps of naked men and all of the fantastic muscles, and they're all like little bodybuilders. And he says this to Timothy. He says, physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. So he's kind of saying to Timothy and the people at that time who loved the human body and health and all that stuff, he said, that's good, but actually pursue godly things, spiritual things. And so I guess today I want to encourage you, if you have set health and health goals, I encourage you to maybe switch gears a little bit. And although they're good, let's focus on spiritual things this year. In Acts 2, verses 42 to 47, this is just after the day of Pentecost. So it says this, the believers or the Christians at the time, the Jesus followers or the disciples, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and to the breaking of bread and to prayer. So they devoted themselves to these things, or gave attention to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship, to breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favour of all people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. And so we notice here that the believers, they devoted themselves to spiritual things like the apostles' teaching. Now you got to think about it. Back then, the New Testament wasn't around. Okay, we had the Hebrew Scriptures, the Old Testament, but they devoted themselves to Jesus' ministry, what he said, and the apostles' teaching. So they were devoted themselves to that. What about you this year? Maybe you could devote yourselves to the apostles' teaching. You could devote your time to reading the Bible, reading the Word. Maybe you could study it. Maybe you could read theology. And theology, some people think, theology is so boring, but it means a study of God. I want to study God. I want to know everything about him, and so you can find this topic and you can research it. You can research church history, gifts of the Spirit, heaven, hell. You can Genesis, the resurrection, atonement, the early church history in general. You could look at the desert fathers and those monastic kind of guys that went out in the desert for, in silent retreats and that sort of stuff. There's so many things you can study in the Bible. Maybe you can choose a book and spend a whole year studying it, reading different commentaries about it. So you can find a topic, or you can find a letter, or you can maybe you can just research a prophet and read that for the whole year, whatever it is. But be devoted to the apostles' teaching. They also were devoted to fellowship, and that doesn't just mean hanging out. The word that's used is kind of sharing and participation. That the disciples, they shared and participated in life with one another. I know in 1 Thessalonians, I don't have the scripture here exactly, but Paul says that we not only share the gospel with you, but also our lives. That they shared and participated in life with one another. And that's why we have church the way we do. We want to get into each other's worlds. We want to have intimate relationship in connect groups, and then also the broader community of the church at church. But also the house churches is a smaller community where we can share lives together. We can participate in life with one another. And they did that. And that's why connect group is so important. It also said that they were devoted themselves to the breaking of bread, probably kind of looking at the Lord's Supper, but essentially having food together and enjoying it and that sort of stuff together. And they devoted themselves to prayer. And once again, for Connect Group, to pray for one another, to pray for people you don't know, to pray for your family, your friends, to pray for people in your Connect Group. So they devoted themselves to these different things. And as they did that, as the Christians at the time, the early church, they devoted themselves or gave attention to the apostles' teaching, to the breaking of bread, to fellowship, and to prayer. It then says that the Lord added to those, the Lord added to those being saved daily. And so as we as a church, as we unite together, as we come together, as we share and participate and fellowship together, we can actually draw nearer together as a community. And as we love on one another, as we serve one another, as we bless one another financially, if you're going through a hard time or you need a car, we can help one another and love one another. And as we do that, the people from the outside will see and they'll want to join what we have here at church. And God brings the people that are being saved. As we love one another, as we devote ourselves to those things, then God brings the increase. And so what can you focus on this year? You can focus on all those goals you have, but what about spiritual goals? Maybe you are focused really well on the apostles' teaching. Maybe you go, oh, I love reading theology. I'll read it all day long, But then, so maybe, awesome. Maybe you fellowship really well, but you don't read the Bible often. Okay, well, maybe you can read the Bible a bit more this year. Maybe just 3 times a week for 3 minutes a day or whatever it may be. You just find a goal that you want to work with. Or maybe you, how about breaking of bread and sharing meals together? Do you have people over your house? Do you get to know people? Well, maybe this year, have one family over a month, whatever it may be. But how do you do that? Or maybe prayer. How's your prayer life? Maybe your prayer life is awesome. Maybe it's not. But what can you focus on this year? I know for me, being devoted to the Word, I read the Bible every day, practically every day. And I probably started doing that maybe 4 years ago. I just made a decision. I read the Bible every day, even if it's just one scripture, one chapter, one scripture. Sometimes it's just one sentence, but I just get it done each and every day. And it has revolutionized my walk with Jesus. My fellowship, I come to church, we share, we have Connect Group and that sort of stuff. So I guess for me, that could be a tick. Not saying that it's a tick as in, but I'm just saying I do those things. And I break bread, I have food with people. But my prayer life, if you had to look at those 4 things for me, my prayer life would be the lowest of those ones. And so this year, I'm going to focus in on my prayer life a bit more. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. And what are you going to do this year? I encourage you to pursue godliness, to pursue those spiritual things that are actually going to bring us life, okay, and actually draw us nearer to Jesus. And as we draw nearer to Jesus and when we abide in Him, then fruit can come out of that. And we can do nothing unless we're connected to Jesus. So that's it for my devotion this morning. I pray that you got something out of it. And I pray that you help self-reflect over your own life, your own spiritual journey, and where can you grow in any of those areas. I encourage you, if you're watching this with your Connect Group, have a chat about it. Maybe text someone, go, watch Matt's message. Where can you do better? Where can I do better? And we can kind of just keep each other accountable in a positive way so we can keep drawing nearer to Jesus and then nearer to each other. So that's it from me. Have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.